Italy. The word itself conjures images. You see the Colosseum standing proud against a Roman sky. You imagine a gondola gliding through the canals of Venice. Maybe you can almost taste a perfect plate of pasta, a glass of Chianti in hand. These are the snapshots, the postcards we all know and love. They are beautiful, of course, they are real. But they are only the beginning of the story, the cover of a book with countless complex chapters. I've spent years peeling back the layers of this country, a place my own ancestors called home, and what I've found is a reality far richer, more challenging, and infinitely more fascinating than any tourist brochure could ever capture. This isn't just a country. It's a collection of fiercely proud, distinct nations masquerading as one. The Italy of the Dolomites, with its crisp air and Austrian echoes, feels worlds away from the sun-scorched earth of Sicily, where North African and Greek whispers still linger in the markets. To truly understand Italy, you have to go beyond the magnificent monuments. You have to walk the side streets, listen to the arguments in the piazzas, and sit at the tables where families share their food and their lives. It's in these moments, in the small, everyday details, that you discover the true beating heart of this extraordinary place. My journey has been one of constant discovery. It's been about connecting the food on my plate to the history in the soil. It's about understanding how a festival in a tiny village can reveal more about the local soul than a grand museum in a bustling city. I've met people whose resilience and creativity in the face of modern challenges are nothing short of inspiring. They are farmers, artisans, activists, and chefs. Each one is a keeper of a small but vital piece of the Italian puzzle. They are the ones who are writing the next chapter of Italy's story, a story of passion, struggle, and an unwavering love for their heritage. So I invite you to come with me beyond the postcard views. We'll explore the vibrant traditions that change from one valley to the next. We will listen to the voices of Italians navigating the complexities of the 21st century, from environmental preservation to social change. We will taste the history in a simple loaf of bread and hear the future in a new generation's music. This is a journey into the real Italy, a place of profound beauty, deep contradictions, and endless surprises. It's a place that once it gets under your skin never truly lets you go, and for that, I am eternally grateful. Italy's unification is, historically speaking, a recent development. Before 1861, it was a patchwork of kingdoms, duchies, and city-states, each with its own dialect, customs, and identity. That fierce localism, known as campanilismo, a loyalty to one's own bell tower, is still the defining characteristic of the country today. Travel from the Veneto to Calabria, and you're not just crossing regional borders, you're entering different cultural worlds. In the northern region of Alto Adige, you'll hear German spoken as often as Italian. The architecture looks Austrian, and the food features speck and hearty dumplings, a world away from the Mediterranean diet. It's a reminder that borders are political, but culture is something deeper, rooted in centuries of unique history. Head south to Puglia, the heel of Italy's boot, and you'll find a completely different universe of tradition. Here, the ancient art of pizzica dancing, a frenetic and hypnotic folk dance, tells stories of pagan rituals and exorcising personal demons. The landscape is dotted with truly conical stone huts unique to the Etria Valley, their origins still debated by historians. Artisans here work with olive wood, crafting beautiful objects from the ancient trees that define the region. This is a land shaped by Greeks, Romans, Normans, and Spaniards, and every layer of that history is visible in the faces, food, and traditions of its people. Even within a single region, traditions can shift dramatically from one town to the next. In Sardinia, an island with a language and culture all its own. The tradition of canto a tenere is a profound cultural expression. It's a form of polyphonic folk singing where four men replicate the sounds of nature: the wind, the bleating of sheep, the lowing of cattle. UNESCO has called it a masterpiece of intangible human heritage. Yet just a few miles away you might find a village known for its intricate knife-making, a craft passed down through generations, each artisan family guarding its own secrets of tempering steel and carving handles from mouflon horn. This incredible diversity is Italy's greatest strength and at times its greatest challenge. It means there is no single Italian way of doing things. There is the Florentine way, the Neapolitan way, the Sicilian way. Each community fiercely protects its own unique heritage, from the specific shape of a local pasta to the patron saint celebrated in a summer festival. To travel through Italy is to witness this living tapestry, to see how a shared national identity coexists with a powerful, unshakable devotion to the traditions that make each and every corner of this country utterly and completely unique. Life in Italy is marked by a rhythm of rituals, both grand and small. It begins each morning with the clatter of ceramic cups in the local bar. The morning coffee is not a leisurely affair. It's a quick stand-up shot of espresso, a moment of caffeinated communion before the day truly begins. It's a social anchor, a brief pause to exchange pleasantries with the barista and neighbors. Then there is the passeggiata, the ritual evening stroll. As the sun begins to set, entire towns spill out into the main streets and piazzas. It is a time for seeing and being seen, for catching up on gossip, for families to walk together, and for young people to flirt. It's a simple, beautiful tradition that reinforces community bonds every single day. Beyond these daily beats are the festivals, the explosive celebrations that punctuate the calendar. These are not just tourist attractions, they are the lifeblood of a community's identity. In Venice, Carnival is not just about elaborate masks and costumes, it is a moment of sanctioned chaos, a historical tradition allowing people of all classes to mingle anonymously before the austerity of Lent. In the small town of Coculo in Abruzzo, the Feast of San Domenico is celebrated by draping the saint's statue with living, non-venomous snakes. It's a startling ancient ritual that blends Christian faith with pre-Christian beliefs about nature and healing, a powerful symbol of the region's deep, rustic soul. Some rituals are tied to the seasons and the harvest. The vendemmia, or grape harvest, is a period of intense work and celebration in wine regions across the country. Families and friends gather in the vineyards to pick the grapes, their labor culminating in communal feasts and the promise of new wine. Similarly, the olive harvest in late autumn is a crucial time for communities in the South. The air fills with the earthy scent of pressed olives, and the first taste of the new oil, olio nuovo, drizzled over a piece of toasted bread, is a moment of pure, unadulterated pleasure. These are rituals that connect people directly to the land that sustains them. Even the simple act of the Sunday family lunch is a sacred tradition. It's a multi-hour affair, a marathon of antipasti, pasta, a main course, side dishes, fruit, dessert, and coffee. It's loud, chaotic, and filled with arguments and laughter. It is here, around the table, that generations connect, stories are told, and problems are solved. This is where the fabric of Italian family life is woven week after week. These rhythms, from the quick morning espresso to the boisterous annual festival, are what give Italian life its distinctive texture, its deep sense of place, and its unwavering connection to the past. Italy is a country of breathtaking natural beauty, from the soaring peaks of the Alps to the dramatic coastlines of the south. But this beauty is fragile. The country faces immense environmental challenges, from the rising sea levels threatening to swallow Venice to the plastic pollution choking its beautiful seas. Climate change is no longer an abstract concept here. It's a reality that is causing more frequent and intense heat waves, altering agricultural cycles that have been stable for centuries and putting immense pressure on water resources. The beautiful landscapes we see on postcards are at the forefront of a global crisis, and Italians are fighting to protect them. In many communities, this fight is being led by passionate individuals and local groups. In the region of Campania around Naples, years of illegal waste dumping by organized crime created a toxic crisis in what became known as the Triangle of Death. But local citizens, particularly mothers who feared for their children's health, rose up. They organized marches, formed committees, and demanded action from the government. Their grassroots activism, born of desperation and courage, has slowly started to turn the tide, forcing authorities to begin the long and arduous process of cleaning up the poisoned land. It's a powerful story of ordinary people becoming extraordinary guardians of their home. Sustainability is also being woven into the fabric of tradition. In the hills of Tuscany and Umbria, a new generation of farmers is embracing organic and biodynamic agriculture. They are rejecting the industrial farming methods of the recent past and returning to age-old techniques that work in harmony with nature. They are revitalizing ancient grains, preserving heirloom seeds, and creating closed-loop systems where nothing is wasted. These farmers are not just producing high-quality food, they are acting as custodians of the landscape, ensuring its health and vitality for future generations. Their work is a quiet revolution, happening one small farm at a time. Even in the cities, there is a growing awareness and a push for change. From Milan's innovative vertical forests, residential towers covered in trees and plants, to the proliferation of farmers' markets promoting zero-kilometer food, urban Italians are finding ways to live more sustainably. There are initiatives to reduce single-use plastics, improve recycling, and promote public transportation. The road ahead is long and difficult, and progress can feel slow. But across the country, there is a powerful current of environmental consciousness, a deep-seated love for the land, and a resilient spirit determined to protect Italy's natural heritage. To understand Italy today is to understand a country in constant, often noisy conversation with itself. The political landscape can seem chaotic to an outsider, with governments forming and collapsing with bewildering frequency. But beneath the surface-level drama, Italians are grappling with deep and pressing social issues. One of the most significant is the stark economic divide between the industrialized, prosperous North and the less developed South, known as the Mezzogiorno. This disparity fuels migration, brain drain from the South, and a persistent sense of frustration and inequality that shapes politics and daily life for millions. If you're enjoying this journey through Italy, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and click the notification bell so you never miss an episode. I once spoke with a young woman named Sophia in Naples. She was a brilliant university graduate in engineering, but she saw no future for herself in her beloved city. All the high-paying jobs, she explained, were in Milan or Turin. To stay here, she told me, her voice a mix of anger and sadness, is to accept a life of precarity. To leave is to abandon my family, my culture, everything I am. Her story is the story of an entire generation in the South, caught between love for their home and the need to build a future. This internal migration is a quiet, ongoing national drama. Immigration is another defining issue of our time in Italy. As a primary arrival point for migrants and refugees crossing the Mediterranean, Italy has been at the center of a European-wide crisis. This has sparked intense debate and social tension. In towns across the country, you see the challenges and successes of integration firsthand. I visited a small town in Calabria that had been slowly dying, its population dwindling as young people left. The town's mayor decided to welcome a group of refugees, giving them homes and jobs. It was a controversial move, but it brought new life, new children to the local school, and a new sense of purpose to a community on the brink of disappearing. These are not easy conversations. They are fraught with emotion, history, and political polarization. Yet, they are happening everywhere, in family dinner arguments, in debates at the local bar, and in the work of community organizers. There is a powerful current of civil society in Italy, a network of volunteer organizations and associations working on everything from anti-mafia initiatives in Sicily to LGBTQ plus rights in major cities. They are the ones on the ground tackling these complex issues with empathy and resilience. They remind us that the true character of a nation is found not in its headlines, but in the everyday struggles and triumphs of its people. In Italy, the past is never really past. It's a constant, living presence. You feel it when you walk on the ancient Roman stones of the Appian Way, or when you stand in the shadow of a Greek temple in Sicily. History isn't confined to museums. It's the very foundation of the modern world. A building in the center of Rome might have foundations from the Roman Empire, walls from the Middle Ages, a Renaissance facade, and a satellite dish on the roof. Italians lived their 21st century lives surrounded by the ghosts of 2.5 millennia, and this proximity to history profoundly shapes their worldview. This connection is woven into the fabric of everyday language and identity. People from Rome are proud of their city's imperial past, a legacy of power and law that they feel sets them apart. Florentines see the genius of the Renaissance of Dante, Michelangelo, and Leonardo as their direct inheritance, a birthright of artistry and intellectualism. This powerful sense of historical identity can be a source of immense pride, but it can also be a heavy burden. The weight of having to live up to such a glorious past can sometimes stifle innovation, creating a tension between preservation and progress that is a central theme in modern Italian life. The events of the 20th century also cast a long shadow. The legacy of fascism and World War II is a complex and often painful topic. In towns and cities across the country, you can find plaques commemorating the victims of Nazi massacres or the bravery of the anti-fascist partisans. These memorials are not just historical markers. They are active sites of memory and debate, especially around national holidays like Liberation Day on April 25th. How to remember this period, what lessons to draw from it, and how it informs today's politics are questions that Italy continues to grapple with, often in very public and passionate ways. This constant dialogue with history creates a unique perspective. There's a certain fatalism, perhaps, a recognition that empires rise and fall, that beauty is fleeting, and that life goes on. But there is also a deep resilience, a sense of continuity that comes from knowing you are part of a story that is thousands of years old. When I see a modern family having a picnic in the ruins of a Roman villa, I don't see a contradiction. I see a perfect expression of the Italian spirit, a people who inhabit their history, argue with it, draw strength from it, and ultimately make it their own, day after day. Every trip to Italy, no matter how well planned, inevitably involves a moment where everything goes wrong. And in my experience, that's usually when the real adventure begins. I remember one trip driving through the rugged interior of Basilicata, a region often overlooked by tourists. My GPS, with a stubborn insistence, directed me down a progressively narrower and more treacherous road. What began as asphalt turned to gravel, then to a dirt track. Finally, I found myself completely stuck, my small rental car wedged between an ancient stone wall and a very steep drop. There was no cell service. It was just me, the car, and the unnerving silence of the countryside. After a moment of pure panic, I did the only thing I could. I started walking. I followed the track for what felt like miles until I saw a curl of smoke rising from a small farmhouse. An elderly man, his face a road map of wrinkles, was tending to his garden. He didn't speak a word of English, and my Italian was at the time clumsy at best. Through a series of elaborate hand gestures, pointing and a few mangled words, I explained my predicament. He simply nodded, put down his hoe, and gestured for me to follow him. He didn't seem surprised or annoyed, just resigned to the fact that a fool in a tiny car had gotten himself stuck. He led me to his equally ancient three-wheeled Piaggio ape, a vehicle that looked like it was held together by wire and prayer. We rumbled back to my car, and with a length of old rope and an astonishing amount of ingenuity, he managed to tow my car back onto the track. He refused any offer of money. Instead, he insisted I come back to the farmhouse. His wife, a woman with warm, knowing eyes, immediately set a place for me at their kitchen table. She brought out a plate of homemade orecchiette with a simple tomato sauce, a piece of hard cheese, and a small glass of powerful homemade red wine. That meal, eaten in a stranger's kitchen after a moment of complete disaster, remains one of the most memorable I've ever had in Italy. We communicated with smiles and gestures. They asked about my family by pointing to photos on their wall. I learned he had been a shepherd his whole life, walking the same hills I had just gotten lost in. I wasn't a tourist anymore. I was a guest, a temporary part of their world. I learned a vital lesson that day. Sometimes you have to get lost, break down, and rely on the kindness of strangers to find the true, generous heart of a place. In Italy, food is never just food. It's a language. It's a way of telling a story about who you are, where you come from, and what you believe in. Every dish is a testament to history, geography, and ingenuity. Take, for example, cucina povera, the peasant cooking that is the foundation of so much of Italy's best food. It was born of necessity, of making something delicious out of very little. Dishes like ribollita in Tuscany, a hearty bread and vegetable soup, were designed to use up stale bread and leftover vegetables. Today, it's celebrated in chic restaurants, but its soul lies in the resourcefulness of generations of farmers' wives. The regionality of food is absolute. You can drive 20 miles and find yourself in a completely different culinary landscape. In Bologna, the capital of Emilia-Romagna, the food is rich, decadent, and luxurious. It's the home of fresh egg pasta like tagliatelle, tortellini, and lasagna served with slow-cooked meat ragu. It's a cuisine that speaks of fertile plains and prosperous cities. But travel down to Calabria, a poorer, more rugged region, and the food tells a different story. The star ingredient here is the fiery peperoncino, the chili pepper. It's used to preserve meats, flavor pasta, and add a kick to almost everything, a symbol of a passionate and resilient people. Food is also the primary medium for celebration and remembrance. Every holiday has its specific dish. On Christmas Eve in the South, the Feast of the Seven Fishes is a tradition that connects families to the sea and to ancient Catholic rituals. For Easter, special breads are baked, often studded with colored eggs, their shapes and recipes varying from town to town, each one a symbol of rebirth and spring. Even a simple village sagra or food festival, Celebrating a single ingredient like a porcini mushroom, a local sausage, or a cherry becomes a focal point for community identity, a reason to gather, eat, and reaffirm shared bonds. For me, the most profound moments of connection in Italy have always happened around a table. I remember sharing a meal with cheesemakers in the mountains of Sardinia. They served me pan carousel, a thin, crisp flatbread, with their sharp, salty pecorino cheese and a simple glass of wine. As we ate, they told me about their sheep, about the challenges of competing with industrial cheesemakers, and about their determination to preserve a craft that had been in their family for centuries. In that simple meal, I tasted their pride, their struggle, and their deep love for their land. In Italy, to share food is to share a piece of your soul. To try and define Italy with a single statement is an impossible task. It is a country of brilliant light and deep shadows, a place where ancient traditions collide with the relentless pace of modernity. It's a nation that gave the world Renaissance art and Roman law, yet still struggles with political instability and economic division. It is in essence a beautiful, glorious, and sometimes frustrating contradiction. And that is precisely its magic. The Italy that I have come to know and love is not a static museum piece, perfectly preserved under glass. It is a living, breathing, ever-evolving masterpiece, constantly being repainted and reshaped by its people. The journey has taught me that the soul of Italy is not found in the grand monuments, as magnificent as they are. It is found in the smaller moments, in the fierce pride of a winemaker pouring you a glass of his family's vintage, in the passion of a local activist fighting to protect her coastline, in the laughter shared over a long Sunday lunch. It is in the resilience of communities that have faced earthquakes, economic hardship, and social upheaval, yet continue to celebrate life with an intensity that is both humbling and inspiring. This is the true Italian spirit. From the Alpine north to the sun-drenched islands of the south, I have seen a country held together by a fierce love of family, a deep connection to place, and an unshakable belief in the importance of beauty in everyday life. This beauty is not just in the art and architecture, but in the careful arrangement of vegetables in a market stall, the perfect foam on a cappuccino, and the simple elegance of a well-made plate of pasta. It's a commitment to doing small things with great care, a philosophy that enriches life in countless ways. Italy will continue to change. It will face new challenges and find new solutions. Its young people will forge new identities, blending global influences with their deep-rooted heritage. But I believe its core will remain the same. It will always be a place that rewards the curious traveler, the one who is willing to get lost on a country road, to stumble through a conversation in broken Italian, and to accept an invitation to a stranger's table. It is a country that asks you to slow down, to look closer, and to listen. And if you do, it will share its stories, its food, and its heart, leaving you, as it has left me, forever enchanted and forever wanting to return.